away Kalista on blue side to open up different openers for themselves. And at the moment, with Jace taken off the board, yeah, the Rumble, Cassante, and Bessa trio starts to look rather tasty, and JDG going to get all of that Rumble right off the bat.
And JDG trying to remind Top Esports how disastrous their first game was against BLG by going for that Rumble first pick that, in the hands of Bin, pretty much took over the entire game. Now, thankfully for Top Esports, the series eventually was a triumph for them, but there's one way to grab a powerful pick in this Rumble and the Equalizer that can cause so much disruption in the backline. Top Esports, though, answer with a powerful top laner pick of their own and Bessa that can be flexed, and of course the Vi, something that will always be useful no matter what game state it is.
Yeah, I'm checking. We haven't seen Creme play the Ambessa yet, as this is something where, and Creme is pretty much known for melee champs, right? It's something that potential to flex. We've seen some mid laners play it. I just set this up because Kennen has been a really big pick for both Alba and 369, and they've each been playing this matchup in a Rumble. So a chance to maybe even get a deny here if you are Top Esports by taking Kennen in a pretty favorable matchup. But as this draft rolls on, top side locked in, going to be Xin Zhao for Shun, and Scout on his Azir. This draft looks pretty strong for JDG early on. I think that really the big thing they're looking for now is some utility from their bot lane to help set up and open up space for the Rumble and Azir, which has enough damage between the two of them just to carry a team.
We've already concluded the first round of picks and bans here. We're going into the second round. A nice round out with Azir team fight power, and of course Ari for Creme being able to follow up and dive with Kanavi on the Vi. I like the Poppy ban, just being able to get rid of something that would stuff any of the dive attempts and the blitz attempts that you want to go for as Top Esports. But this is very similar to what we've been seeing in the last couple of best of fives here, Matt. All the top 3 champions across top jungle and mid already locked in, and it comes down to how much of the AD carry and support pool you actually want to pinch here.
Yeah, of course. I think the Poppy ban, very warranted. Curious to see a Xayah ban actually targeted at Peyz. I will say this is a game where Top Esports are showing a lot of dive in the first phase of draft, so taking away 2 champs that can really dissuade the dive is big. I just am curious what happens with... Varus and Ashe are still on the board. We've seen Varus be incredibly high priority throughout the playoffs. I think that both champions would fit the comps well. Varus, some poke damage over the top could really open things up for the Vi and Ari. And if you give JDG Varus with Peyz, man, I don't see a single wave where they aren't going to have priority across the map. So I think that you have the option to maybe go for Ashe for JackeyLove. But, oh, wow, it's going to be the Ezreal. I mean, you're really opening up a free Varus pick, which I think JDG is going to slam. I really like this draft for JDG. I think they're set up very well in this game.
JDG would have to blind support here, though, and that does give counter pick option for Chris, which, since you've already mentioned how much of a difference the support gap can make in this series, and for a chance to go into grand finals, I think it's imperative that JDG, even if they have to blind support, it's something that will always be useful for the team. And there's quite an amount of options open if you just want to go for raw engage, if you want to go for something reliable, Leona for
Rel.
Rel could also work as well.
Yeah, I think it should be Rel for missing. He's yet to play it in the playoffs. But I like Rel just because you give Rumble a lot of setup. And also at least like Alistar, I feel like one of the more common answers, like that pick would be really bad this game for me. Instead, though, actually goes for Renata. See, for me, this opens up the Enchantress bot lane with the Karma.
Wow.
Also, why I was thinking Rel, because you dissuade the shields coming in from Lulu Karma. But going Renata's countered by Enchantresses. If you're able to outrange, outpoke the Renata, it's really big. So that pick, yes, it does give that big hostile takeover to deal with the dive of the Ambessa, the buy, the Ari, but this does give Top Esports a winning lane in the Ezreal Karma.
And the thing I'm curious about here, Matt, is JDG's confidence that they can just play a kite back composition here, right? Because when you look at power of engage, you don't necessarily have a lot of confident engage in supply. You can try and fish with a Varus ulti or trying to cut someone off with an equalizer, and maybe you send a scout on a mission to just scoop them all in with the shuffle. But it just seems like this composition is really hoping that they're ahead in lane and they're the first ones into objectives. What happens if that's not the case here, Matt.
I will see it. If Top Esports are able to get ahead, they have a lot of tools to try and push the pace of this game with JackeyLove being that security blanket later on. I also got to say, I really like the Karma for Crisp this game. It's a nice thematic counter to the Rumble. Just gives you a way to try and deal with that equalizer. And the lockdown for JDG, it's not non-existent, but it does rely a lot on Chain of Corruptions or Azir having these Emperor's Divides that can maybe be a assist for Rumble, but I don't think he exactly wants to be diving in this game. He's probably going to deal with getting dove. So I'm curious to see if it's going to be the on-hit or the Poke Varus. I am expecting Poke Varus in this draft, but I feel like JDG, as you highlighted, Raafaa, just with Rumble, Azir, and Poke Varus, you own the lanes. It's going to be on Top Esports to respond to them getting pushed in. I think it's if there's not a case where JDG has push in these lanes, then something really went wrong early.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if they can execute the composition to what it wants to do, because we have to remember if this team is not able to get into the objective first, the power of the engage that it has is limited in supply in terms of reliability. Whereas for Top Esports, I mean, you've got a Vi and you've got two dive buddies in the Ambessa and the Ahri that will follow you into the darkness of going into JDG's composition. And Top Esports already in this game one opener, getting some aggressive vision into that bottom red quadrant here and getting a chance to actually sweep some of it out, denying even more from JDG.
Do want to highlight some of the rune setups here. We have a TP for Peyz with the Comet, so of course the poke setup will be the setup for Peyz. And then in the mid lane, we actually have Scout rocking the grass. So of course, a very dive-heavy composition from Top Esport. Going to try and stack up the grasp and utilize the green tree to survive that. Wondering if we get the Henri's or Riftmaker coming in later on, or when the Nash's Tooth ends up getting put down. But at the moment, with the Ezreal Karma, you can really dictate what side of the map that you want to play on. Your level 1 is crazy strong. Top Esports utilize that to get some push into the bot side jungle, and it will be a split map, which is scouted out by both teams.
As you called it, we got the double solo lane in the mid lane, as we've seen kind of as an evolution over the course in this LPL split. Kanavi and Shun just exchanging red quadrant jungles at the moment. I'm curious if there's going to be any changes in the game plan where either the junglers want to get a jump on the solo laners once they disperse, but it looks like not really any aggressive action is going to occur from either of these teams' setup. It's just going to be an exchange of plates on both top and bot lane respectively.
Yeah, with the junglers taking this path, if you were to try and contest this wave, then you are set up to getting 3 or 4-man dove if the top laner does head up towards the wave to support the dive, which in this case, each of our top laners did. Neither one tried to contest the wave on the opposite side of the map, so we just have the handshake. Usually, I like when teams are able to set up the split map to actually like contest the first 3 melees that spawn in the game.
Yeah.
It's not the case when you have champs like Rumble or Ambessa. They're a little bit too easy to force off, especially for the Rumble going up against an Ezreal Karma lane. I mean, if you walk into that, like, your health bar is gone. So do you think it was the right scenario for the split map? Even if I do think that there's a big advantage for getting those first 3 melee creeps, and really seen that as this lane swap meta, and as these teams have figured out just, you know, how to master this this early game. We've really seen it evolve to have those first 3 melees be so important.
3.5 minutes, nothing still aggressive on either side yet, but we do have maybe a point of contention. Just kidding. Junglers are going for opposite crabs first, but Kanavi does have a chance now to look for the bot lane, but he's going to get spotted on this control ward. That will protect JDG for now.
Missing and Peyz dodging out on the first few levels of this lane are big. Again, like Varus, Poke Varus, you do need levels in order to really start contesting a lot of these lanes, but once you get those levels, then we've all seen how strong Varus can be in terms of contesting and pushing around whatever bot lane duo that he finds. So I do like how Kanavi is continuing to at least try and path into bot, and that should be the case with the secondary spawn here too. So going to clear out the topside camps, and I would not be surprised if it is a Dragon for first Grubs trade for Top Esports. I think they're looking to sack first Grubs and take the Dragon, lean on the strength of their bot lane, and then try and contest the second Grubs when they have a little bit more strength and can avoid something like a big Rumble level 6 or Xin, who is really, really strong early, especially when ults are missing.
Sure. And that would be at around the 9-10 minute mark. I don't think Top Esports will be any close to completing a first item, especially since JackeyLove on the Ezreal is going to be delaying that Trinity Force spike with the early purchase of the tier. Get a quick zoom in as JackeyLove is going to feel the pain of this poke Varus, as come to expect. The first dragon spawns here. Top Esports not necessarily in position, though, to immediately blitz the dragon. Could get dove here as Shun is wrapping around.
Yeah, Kanavi not here to contest yet. He's going to work his way around the river, so he's late. TP comes in to protect. That's enough.
Missing is the first one that tanks it up. He's forced to use the bailout on himself, and nice by Kanavi to clip Peyz. This is disaster, as you called it, Matt. Shun forced to flash over the wall, and Top Esports get 2 kills to start off the game.
Kanavi goes straight to the dragon, and the setup for JDG, again, we were really critical of missing in the early stage of just talking about this matchup and missing. After that TP comes in, he's the one that ends up with aggro, and a dive that probably just should have been called off immediately.
I mean, JDG, maybe they can take solace in the fact that Crisp has no summoner spells and TP has been burned, but take a look at that replay again to see how that went down.
Preemptive heal, and I mean, missing just auto attacks and dies. I mean, sadly, that really has been like how bad missing is in the playoffs. Like, I mean, his JDG, they find themselves they're up in game score in the playoffs, and I usually don't like to look at stats and have that tell a story, but when you're a top 3 team in the LPL and your support in playoffs has a KDA of 2 total, that's probably not good. And that really just has been the story of missing. It feels like he has just not had a grasp of how much damage goes down on him, when to go in. I don't think that he's been set up well for picks at times. I mean, even this game, Renata, you're opening yourself up to something like the Karma. This is something at Top Esport they play as well. If you go Rel, you dissuade the shields.
Nicely done by Alla to flash the Q, but he's still got a cease and desist to lock him down. Equalizer will slow. Kanavi flashes to confirm the kill, and 369 slices him down with the laceration. Creme in trouble, gets shuffled by Scout, but a good charm stops a lot of the damage that would have followed up on the Ember's Divide. Creme is still forced to use that Spirit Rush, and in the end, it's just an exchange of ultimates. However, Scout, gotta be careful. Charm, good sidestep.
Well done from Scout. I do like how Creme played that out towards bot side. He did spot Xin Zhao taking the Raptors, so knew that if he went bot, Xin couldn't join. At the moment, Xin punishing Vi's gank bot by taking that top side away. Chris did scout it, but was not able to stop it.
Kanavi is answering on the top side, knowing that JackeyLove was under pressure, missing, not getting a chance to interrupt that recall, so JackeyLove is totally fine and safe. Recalled back in the base to full HP. JDG still trying to pressure to see if they can get at least one more play for their hands before Top Esports get their bot laner back.
And they did get the first 3 grubs, so I like how they're at least grouped up to try and return to their game plan, which is dominating these waves and pressuring turrets. And the start for this game, kind of circling back to the high level that we had early on, Raafaa, it really was on JDG to win the early game, keep these waves shoved in, and keep the pressure up on Top Esports, but they have not made a single play. I mean, the one play they made should have never been made in the bot side, right?
They have not made a winning play so far.
They have not made a winning play yet. And this sets up for the dive at Top Esports being much stronger when these teams do clash. Like, if Vi's able to get big enough, we've seen with the Sundered Sky, her ability to engage a fight and just be disruptive and pump out damage. I mean, the denting blows, that damage adds up. And Kanavi being set up the way that he is can really open things up for 369 and Creme in these fights. So I think that it's a grim start so far for JDG.
Yeah. Now, it's not completely doomsday scenario for JDG. As you called out, the big fight will probably come about the second grub rotation. The fact that Top Esports so far have been following the script as they've wanted to, being able to trade for first dragon, get that for themselves while sacrificing the first 3 grubs over to JDG. And the fact that they were able to penalize JDG for an egregious dive early on in the game gives them that little bit of extra boost in economy. I don't know if we're going to get Trinity Force Power Spike online by that time, since we're about a minute and some change away.
Oh,
but,
yeah, no shot.
But a first item spike for maybe Kanavi, maybe 369. Yeah. They bring them over, and then that changes the story for JDG.
I think that's a good call, Raafaa. Again, if Sundered Sky comes in on Kanavi early on, will be very nice. I do like the setup that we have at the moment from Top Esports. They have the Ahri into the Rumble. That's just asking to send Vi up there by the second grub and then try an attack and get a kill down. Because if they were to find Ala, no flash makes it easier, and then no TP to return for the fight. Curious if we get Kanavi, who did finish that Sundered Sky in base before the grubs, to attack the top side before this objective spawns.
369 still has a teleport available, so does Creme. Not sure if they are anywhere close to their own respective first item spikes. Top Esports bot lane duo doing a great job of putting Peyz and missing under a lot of pressure under the tower. And at Top Esports, it looks like they are just setting up the pieces 20 seconds away from that second grub rotation. Missing is going to go for a base now. I'm curious to see if he's going to be trying to link up with Shun on the top side to contest for these grubs, and if Chris will match.
Got Crisp, of course, walking up, but at the moment, it looks like Shun's looking mid. And Peyz wasn't rotated mid either. This is something where I feel like JDG, they played Varus really well. He's been played in each series by Peyz, and JDG has won both those games with Peyz looking really good. Usually Varus is mid at this point because you just delete waves with your Q, and it enables you to at least see someone under mid-outer and step in the top river. Instead, they keep him bot, and it's just a complete trade. They're going to have Ala delete the top wave, so they'll just skip out on a wave. It will be the grubs 3 for 3 traded out, with the dragons now being even too. But still, don't love this for JDG. I think that putting Peyz mid, it might have given them an option to at least pressure for both. And I'm very surprised that we don't have the Varus mid at this point of the game, just because of how much dominance you get over the wave and whatever lane he shows up in.
I almost have to wonder if it's just JDG being a little too nervous about trying to contest Top Esports at those grubs, considering that they are... None of their individual members have that first item spike. As 369 finds a pick on a scout. It's just a trade of ultis, but the flash from 369 forces out Scat Zone.
Very aggressive from 369. Must feel like that flash is worth trading, as he made the choice to trade it out. There will be Scout now down. That summoner spell where you can be a playmaker on Azir. Also, of course, Scout did go for the Grasp. Is looking to go for the Leandres first. Couple options for the Azir with this build. Sometimes you see the Riftmaker. You get to play a Drain Tank Azir. He is really hard to dive and deal with. Or we could see the Nashor's Tooth, but just getting the Leandres early to protect himself a little bit more, which does feel really nice. Just having that bonus health within the build can sometimes be enough to save you from an Azir Xin play. Or, sorry, a Vi Ahri play if you are Azir.
Yeah, and it'll definitely pay off if he's able to survive a Vi Ahri duo combo assault where Scout down a flash means he has one less defensive tool to be able to get himself out of that sticky situation. Now, Top Esports looking toward the next two objectives, still 3 minutes away, but there's time now, and the fact that Scout is down a flash, I really, really want to see Top Esports try and take advantage of that, make a play, because the later this game goes on, it's not necessarily a hard scale outdraft, but you do want to take advantage of these mid-game spikes in your jungle mid combo. And I feel like that's where you get a lot of the advantages of being able to snowball this team setup you have for Top Esports as Kanavi!
Baited.
Oh, he didn't expect all 3 members from JDG to be waiting in that red quadrant. That's a big shutdown. Going over to Shun, and JDG want to continue the fight. Teleport answers. That will put all 5 members ready to defend. Scout is just forced to walk with the rest of his team, but nice little pick there for JDG to be able to pick up the jungler on Kanavi. Now, True Shot Barrage does cancel a couple backs there. And Top Esports might get a chance to take out this mid-tier turret.
Rumble does burn the TP to go match bot. And again, that play, Kanavi getting baited in, well played by Shun and JDG, but that's enabled by Peyz on this poke Varus having lane dominance in mid. He had the wave in, was able to move, and they supported their jungler on a play. So I do like that JDG, again, I think they've played this pick rather well, understand the Varus, the strengths of it, done a good job of making sure that he's able to hit his spikes. That's a good play from JDG, just saying, hey, we have Varus, we get push, take one side of the map, and you can see Creme, that TP is pretty early, but just wasn't in range to actually impact this play. Might have been better if he just walked, because they would have had the corral. Instead, by that TP going to where it was in that topside embankment brush, bought time for JDG to group up as 5 and walk out safely.
Yeah. And you saw that Top Esports were calling for the play because they felt confident that they had the first collapse, but just not having vision of JDG's other bot lane who was waiting in the wings. And big punish there. Now Top Esports, it doesn't completely rectify everything that JDG kind of gave over to them in the early stages of the game, but those are the type of plays that JDG want to make to decelerate any potentials for snowball that Top Esports want to make, because if they're ever ahead in gold, then the dive that Top Esports has just gets stat checked, and then it becomes so difficult for Top Esports to actually play the game into what JDG have as kind of like a fortress comp that just wants to kite backwards.
Yeah, I do think it's really big that Scout has not been slowed down. It does look like he's going for the Riftmaker second. So this very kind of off-tank Azir build. But man, those Sand Soldiers can do so much damage if he's just keeps on living throughout the fight. And it's going to take a lot to take this Azir down. Between the Grass, the Overgrowth, and the Leandries, already sitting at over 2k HP 15 minutes in. That's a lot. And it feels like Top Esports, they might have to play for a longer fight to allow for JackeyLove to be that big carry later on. Because this is a comp where Ezreal can just break it. It's not like there's a giant tank that Ezreal is going to have a real issue dealing with. As long as he's hitting Mystic shots, whoever he hits, it's going to feel pretty good, right? No one's going to be able to really tank this up. So a chance for JackeyLove to have a big pop-off on his Ezreal.
As long as the rest of his team is able to create the disruption and chaos for an Ezreal to thrive in, JackeyLove can live in that world. And Top Esports being able to pick up feats of strength thanks to the destruction of the first turret on the top side of the map. We've got Third Dragon just barely spawning alongside Rift Herald on the opposite side of the map. Shun just going to try to blitz this one before Top Esports can respond oppositely.
Yeah, I gotta say, Feats feels really nice for Lucidity Boot users. I feel like that passive, just getting that bonus move speed, could be really, really nice. Both Crisp and JackeyLove especially can feel good just getting those boot upgrades. That said, gonna be a trade here as Rift Herald taken. Each of our teams still opting to scale. And frankly, I know that scaling is starting to become the big question for me. It's, you know, can we actually break Azir as this game moves forward? Because I think that with how accelerated Scout is, he's going to be the one that's really tough to break, because eventually that Viari damage is going to fall off, and it's going to have to be the whole house being sent at Scout to take him out of the fight early on, if he even is the target. And if he's not the target, then you have to fight through Sand Soldiers for the entirety of the fight, which doesn't sound great. So I think that's where Top's going to be looking.
Yeah, it begs the question, you know, why Top Esports were not able to take advantage of Scout when he didn't have Flash for the past 5 minutes, because now it's back up, and now the opportunity to try and assassinate him seems even more difficult. They might look for a mid lane play. A teleport is coming in, but it's just to force off JDG's core trio, but they get the tower anyway, so I feel like the job is already finished for them, and Top Esports get nothing out of that play.
Yeah, I feel like JDG just kind of traded up a turret they dropped bot outer, they took mid outer. Yes, it was the use of the Rift, but could open things up for Peyz even more. Again, he's the one that gets to delete these mid waves on the poke Varus, so with no mid outer, could really open up access to Top Esports jungle. As in the downtime, Peyz takes away a flash from Chris. That's going to be a win.
Yep. Second time we've seen that happen. The Chain of Corruption is just forcing out Crisp's flash. Now missing.
Oh,
trying to control some vision here. Cease and desist right on top of the Renata glass, but he throws out the hostile takeover. That buys some time. Kanavi forced the flash. Shun is there for reinforcements, and Kanavi is in trouble. JDG being able to punish Top Esports once again. Scout!
Whoa.
Flash onto the flashless Chris. Sends him right back into the waiting arms of his teammates. JDG on a roll. They don't care about what happened in the early game with that dive. They brought it right back.
I think that's just an unwarranted call there from Kanavi. Yes, they had 3 on missing, but they weren't able to... 369 just was never really able to join the fight, didn't choose to. So down numbers, and again, fighting into that Varus that is really, really strong right now. Got a lot of work done against Kanavi. Again, Chain of Corruptions, it's down, so maybe they're thinking, hey, we can catch missing as 4 but missing flashes to buy as much space as he can away from Creme. And Creme's route to this fight, again, was really poor. He went around the red buff. If he just walks with Kanavi on top of him, maybe he's able to impact the play. Ends up joining late, wasn't able to interrupt Scout. Some tools burned on Shun to make sure that he could chase, but yeah, Creme, the first couple plays that have been attempted from Kanavi, yes, like, it looks bad. He's the one that is overextended and dying, but Creme has not done a good job of following up. I think the TP with the first play was unwarranted, being that deep, and that walk around red buff, like, you're just wasting time, man. Just go follow your jungler. Like, what are we doing? We lose Mark? We might have lost Mark. I can't hear Mark right now. All right, we're going to keep on going. All right, folks. Looks like we got the solo cast. Raafaa, unfortunately, has lost internet. We're going to get Raafaa back as soon as possible. That being said, diving into this game, we do have Dragon spawning in a $130. Of course, Otacon spawning on the bot side. Don't even have to guess who's going to spawn the Roses or the GA buff. We got 6 kills in this game. You know the GAs are coming in here pretty soon. And at the moment, Top Esports, got to say that they have TPs on the top side available. Chance that we could have 369 join a contest, but pulling Otacon even numbers this early, we've seen a lot of teams refuse to do so with how much damage Otacon can do early on in this game. Looks like JDG, even with the control that Azir and Varus are bringing to the respective lanes that they're in, are also going to wait to at least make something happen before they approach this big objective. So, nothing to worry about here for Otacon. A little bit of downtime, but I want to focus still on the bot side of the map with that Chemtech Soul and a potential Soul Point spawning for Creme and the rest of Top Esports here in a brief second. So, as we dive in, we're going to have to see if Peyz can be pressured. And I feel like that's actually a pretty big point of discussion. I know we've talked a lot about Scout and how big he's going to be in some of these fights with the Riftmaker build coming in on this Azir. But Peyz has quietly just been doing a lot of damage and a lot of poke damage before this upcoming setup. I'm interested to see if JDG really does play hard for these couple waves and tries to poke out Top Esports going into this objective. As it looks like that's the case. Regrouping mid, going to group up as 4. 369 going to take a little bit of a late base to pick up what I assume is an item. Expect the TP to come back in for them to contest, but again, Peyz deletes these waves, and it's really tough to walk through this poke Varus. So, do like how JDG is playing this one out. They're going to drop bot, take mid wave, and make sure that they're able to play in that corridor that is really well suited for poke. All that's going on for JDG. Kanavi has snuck his way into this bot brush. Scout has to pick up the wave, but if they see him on this wave, of course, TP available for Scout, but a chance for Top Esports to really cut JDG off towards mid. Still have to respect Peyz's damage coming on out. JackeyLove, of course, does have that 2-item spike on the Ezreal. Evolved Miramana. He's going to try and answer the poke of the Varus. But JDG, you can see, toggle from our observers, looking pretty dark and dim for them in that bot side river. So making it a little bit harder for Peyz to step up and for them to fish around this big objective. As folks, I might be living every Colorcaster's dream here, which is you get to solo cast one team fight.
I might be back.
Oh, hold on. All right, never mind.
I see the
Raafa's back.
Creme warding off Scout. Good charm stops him in his place, and that's Top Esports securing the 3rd dragon for themselves. JDG. I just got back. I'm not sure what happened in the past couple of minutes, but it seems like JDG were not able to stop Top Esports from what they wanted to do.
Yeah, you got back just in time to ruin every Colorcaster's dream. That said, Shun.
Oh, do you want to go back? I can disconnect right now.
Oh no, I'd rather not, Raafaa. I just want, you know, every once in a while it's like one team fight. It's like Carmelo Anthony coming off, you know, the bench in the audience and, you know, faking the shot. That's what I felt like right there.
Yeah. Well, did you make it? Yeah. Did you get a chance to play-by-play?
No, I didn't take the shot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Exactly what happens. We had a lot of NBA references.
Well, Chad, you lost out on a golden opportunity to hear the infamous Cubby play.
Oh, it's infamous for a reason, so I don't think chat missed out at all. But still, this game's quiet. Chris does have flash. Shun, he's going to take some chip damage here from JackeyLove.
A good route there and good poke by JackeyLove to force Shun back away.
Nice, man. Well played, Shun. Good call.
Listen, I mean, he didn't die. He didn't burn a flash. He didn't even burn his ultimate. He was just...
He just has to reset and lose tempo. All camps are down, so it's not that big of a deal. But
yeah,
jumping into a Karma as is in can feel quite bad. And that's why. So nice of Top Esport, again, to dissuade this. I think Karma, nice thematic counter that the Renata pick really set up. Again, I really feel like Rel, you have the shield break. It really dissuades going stuff like Karma, like Lulu. Because a good Q from Rel in fights can take that power away in an instant. And then you're just squishier and you're just worse as a champion. But going Renata, you're asking to get the Enchantress pick or the Blitzcrank from Chris coming through. It's the Karma with the Ezreal this game. And we have seen the Karma provide some headaches in this game for JDG, and will provide more, as again, that in mantra to E to get you out of these equalizers could be significant later on in this game.
Teleport is coming in. Peyz could be the target, but Seasoned Assist is still going to go through, and the Smite
369
takes away the Edge of Night spell shield, allowing the dive to be successful, but Scout answers back, scoops up Chris. Hostile takeover's massive onto the front line. Equalizer thrown down right on top. 369 and Creme trying to kite away. Kanavi falls. Good answer by JDG as they look for JackeyLove next. No flash available. Arcade shift. He's going to try to trade one back, but it's only the support, not the ideal target for JackeyLove as Top Esports lose their AD carry. It's only down to the solo laners and support to hold off the oncoming siege.
I think he was going for Scout there. Did end up finding Missing, but a good turn on that fight off the back of the hostile takeover from Missing. I didn't think that Scout with that flash ult, I thought he'd be in a really tough spot after he connects from the port. So we're going to take another look. Of course, that Smite, as you highlighted, Raafaa, enough to get Kanavi, 2 Peyz, and 369 flashing to be just in range of the public execution as Peyz gets taken down in the 1v5. Rest of the fight afterwards, again, Scout, that ult I thought was a little bit unwarranted, but it set up really nicely for the hostile takeover into the equalizer, and Scout was tanky enough to get out. Then JackeyLove, again, I think he's looking for Scout here. Missing caught the W. Scout survives, so it's a tower that does go over to Top Esport, but a trade up in kills for JDG is this game still very close.
And JDG managed to secure the Baron buff off screen in that lower third. Top Esports have a chance to burn this Otacon and at least for JDG's hand and trying to bait them inwards. Now Top Esports, no flash on Peyz, no flash on Scout. Two ideal targets that they can look to isolate. Less than 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. Shot goes in! He smites it! Big heroic redemption for the guy! Being able to come back through on smites, and Top Esports lose big on another objective.
Oh, I thought Top Esports, I thought they could burn it. They were damn close, but the flash smite from Shun was enough to secure a big buff, take it away from Top Esport. And they used all their tempo to make that play, so the lanes now belong to JDG, who, of course, did get Baron off the back half of the initial play. So a massive power play coming in for JDG as they're going to take control of this game.
And if you are Shun, you are feeling so good right now, knowing that the journey through the upper bracket, there are so many hilariously missed smites and even tragic missed smites at the hands of Shun and other series that cost them important games. But in game one of this lower bracket best of 5, where a win will allow you to rematch anyone's legend in the grand final, this is a great way to start off the series.
I mean, again, this is so close. I really thought Top Esport could have burned this one down, but a perfect smite from Shun. A little bit of damage coming in to try and burn the Otacon in favor of Top Esport. He was able to smite it. It looks like 1297. That damage came in. It was enough to make sure it went his way. Really well played by Shun. And now Kanavi's stuck.
Caught out by Scout. There's the Emperor's Divides. Kanavi uses the ulti to reposition himself on the left side, but Crisp is already gone, so no Mantra Shields to bail out Kanavi. And 369 already knows that his jungler is gone. And so Top Esports now down to 3 members on the map.
It's going to be soul denied, too, as JDG will take that one for themselves. They've opened up a very big lead. And again, the setup now for JDG, we're kind of revisiting how can Top Esports break this. With how big Scout is, it's so tough to dive him. And I really like how JDG actually built this game. It feels like even in a game where they don't really have a true tank, I mean, Zin's your tankiest member, everyone built some form of defense or health to just make it harder for Top Esports to get that first kill, get Arya reset, and go from there. And we have seen that be a big deal in these fights for JDG. Is it feels like there's just not enough gas in the tank from Top Esports to actually get these kills. So for me, more onus on JackeyLove to connect with some poke early on before a fight, which is tough against Peyz, who is the one that is the one poking down Top Esport. There is Creme's going to be sent back to another lane. He can't contest. He's at half health.
And I have to say, Matt, there is a lot of individuals we're looking at going into the start of this series. But Xun was not necessarily one of them, because Xun was someone that we felt and we saw in multiple games struggle to perform at his peak. Someone that had, as we called out before, had missed so many smites. But this game has been very clean. Even though the first dive was not quite to what they wanted to execute ideally, Xun didn't go down with the ship. It was just a death on a missing. He played it patient, and he calculated and was there for every single time Kanavi wanted to make a play and force that snowball even harder. And now Xun is the one that has the upper hand on Kanavi.
I mean, Kanavi has been the one that has really struggled in this game. I think I do want to say that Creme did not do a good job of following up Kanavi with a couple of the plays. So it feels like Kanavi put himself in a tougher spot than what it probably was, but still, some of these spots aren't great takes from him. That's really been the struggle of Xun. The biggest criticism of JDG has been Xun and Missing have not been synced up. They've not been playing well together. This game, it's been a bit different. It's actually been a good look for Xun and Missing.
And this is the way you want to open up the series, especially when there's been so many criticisms and...
Fight mid. TP mid.
Hang on. Lower third. Fight between two solo laners here. Teleport comes in. Creme tries to bail out 369, but Scout is there to answer. Creme has Spirit Rush to get out.
This is bad.
But I don't know if 369 has a way out. Good flash away from Scout. Creme distances himself away. Scout still in range for a flash on first divide if he can get one more shuffle, but not in time. But meanwhile, the lower third, once again, the fight continues to break out in the mid lane as Kanavi fell to a pick from JDG's core. And 369 is trying to get a recall off before Scout can get in range. Creme is left as the sacrificial lamb. That's another member gone. 3 only for the side of Top Esports, while JDG still rocking with all 5. They're going to push into the base.
Yeah, they can keep mid pushed in and then even play with his bot wave as the JDG solo laners escort this one in. And the Varus pick for me has just been so significant because it feels like now that JackeyLove has a Bloodthirster, he can actually contest and match some of the poke. But we have really seen Kanavi get punished with the rest of Top Esports. And
the fact that Scout is so durable on this Azir, he can flash in no fear and start forcing summoner spells off of the squishier backline members of Top Esports. And that puts them at an even more disadvantage of trying to step up and contest JDG on the siege.
Yeah, that flash burn got the flash off Crisp. That's a trade up. Also opens up the inhibitor take for JDG. As Top Esport will have to return to the map. We'll see what they can get. Baron is spawning. If they want to at least try and control that, but their Baron rip is not good either, so not enough time to even think about ripping this one down. Just going to have to get control and see if it could be a misstep from JDG. This is a little late, my friend. Yeah.
I mean, even though that Top Esports are the first one to this objective, the fact that they are 7,000 gold down, it just means that the target they pick, unless it's Peyz or Missing, they're not going to be able to assassinate them fast enough before JDG are able to collapse here as Top Esports eat a chain of corruptions from Peyz. JDG wrestle their way back into the top quadrant and getting ready to set up this Baron. It's Top Esports trying to struggle. Kanavi, he gets interrupted on the Q. Can't get over the wall. JDG pick off the jungler from Top Esports once again. And there's no smite contest available. I imagine this is the time to set up the Baron for JDG.
Really rough game from Kanavi here. I'm done saying that Creme wasn't close enough to contest that one because Kanavi was trying to get a red buff. The third one stolen away from him by JDG, who have done a really good job contesting that objective and will lead to a free Baron as Kanavi, I mean, really goes down with just a whimper. And this game, it feels like Top Esports have went away with a whimper, just have not been able to contest JDG.
You know how in the draft phase I mentioned that Vi will always be useful at all stages of the game? Unfortunately, that's not true when the rest of your team is so far behind that even if you get caught like this and you could manage to pull off an ulti, you just don't have the stats to be able to capitalize on any of those picks, especially since JDG is just slapping them with a thicker wallet.
Yeah, that wallet is going to need to get a lot bigger here for Top Esports. It will be a Shojin 4th for JackeyLove. If he gets that, maybe he can break the game if a fight gets crazy, but this front line is just not big enough from Top Esports. Again, I love the builds that JDG had this game. I think that playing Azir in this style for this game was a great adaptation from Scout. Going for this build, we have seen how difficult it is for Top Esports to really step in and make a play. And it also means that, I mean, Crisp's damage doesn't matter. He's Kanavi.
Oh, man. Kanavi really is the punching bag for JDG. And Scout is coming in to lay the continuous pain. Crisp is gone down to the wayside once again. Creme falls next. And 369 is trying to pull off a flank, but I don't know what Mbessa can do in a 1v5. Tries to get a decent amount of damage, but eventually falls. And JDG, after a questionable dive in the early game, there's no questions left afterwards. It's just a steamroll and game 1 taken in this series.
And that Ahri pick on 3 into this style of a Azir build, I think that you're really setting yourself up for we need to play and be strong early, which is why I was so surprised that the Varus pick was that through, because Varus's ability to dominate the lane that he's in, slow down the tempo of the game, and then buy time for that Azir who, and Scout just ended up being Thanos strong later on, could not die, was not able to be dealt with whatsoever. Just really surprised that Top Esport gave that over. And then I think performance-wise, obviously Kanavi, really tough game 1 from him. So need to see a bounce back if Top Esport want to have this series go their way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I hate to say it, especially for any Kanavi fans in the chat, but this was like, you know, group stage Top Esports Kanavi that we saw in this opener. Definitely not any of the pop-off or standout performances that Kanavi's been able to demonstrate throughout this lower bracket run that they have surmounted up until this point. Now, you know, game 1, maybe there's some nerves, maybe there's just, you know, things didn't go out the way they planned, and, you know, a couple early game botches in that mid-game stage from Top Esports. It's just too hard for them to recover. It's not completely over for Top Esports, but for JDG, I just have to give immense props to Shun, because that was a player that we had a lot of questions for, and someone who seemed to be struggling even in their wins, not just their losses, even in their wins, and was kind of being dragged by the rest of his team across the finish line whenever they were able to pick up series. Today, that game 1, not the case. Shun, hands down, definitely deserved that win.
Yeah, and again, like the win cons for JDG going into the series, what I said, if Missing plays better and isn't detracting from his team, and the coaching staff of JDG isn't detracting from the team with their drafts either, JDG can win this series. And that's exactly what happened in that game. I felt like their draft was really sound. Again, the Varus Azir is just so difficult to contest any waves against that. And Top Esport, they weren't able to actually get kills afterwards because it was too late in the game. JDG got too tanky. And Missing had a decent game. Missing was not an issue that game outside of the first dive. So yeah, that's really good for JDG. And of course, I mean, Peyz continues to be outstanding. This Varus pick for him, it's 3-0. He's played at poke every time, and he's just made it so difficult for the enemy team to do anything into the pick with how well he's able to just get the waves in mid and open up the map for Shun, where I really feel like that's where Shun's at his best, when he is able to play with the map open, especially given, you know, his background being the Nidalee Kindred player, right? If you have some help playing those champions, you feel a lot better in the game. It feels like that's the case for Shun sometimes, no matter what champ he's on.
Well, it's a great way for him to start the momentum and the morale of this series on a high note, being able to not only bounce back after the early game dive and pretty much